This is Neil's Han Dynasty, coming to you live, not from my basement, but from the front yard. Decided it's a nice day, figured I'd come out here and see what's going on, and give a little intro into the video I'm fixing to show you about something you will not see in the American news, even though it's the American news admitting they were wrong. They can't do that because that doesn't fit the narrative they've been selling, which is kind of sad in reality. But you people really need to know this stuff. I'd like you to please like, share, and subscribe. This one in particular, because American news, unless I've missed it, isn't reporting on this stuff. And I think it's very, very important because basically what this story does is prove to an extent that the how can I say this without getting banned here? The last cycle of changing of leadership had some outside influences that changed the dynamics of the game to where the loser won. There we go. I hope you can decipher that by this.
Has released an interesting series of articles titled I Was Wrong About. Within the opinion collections, journalists write about subjects they were wrong about over the years, including inflation, capitalism, protests, Facebook, Chinese censorship, Mitt Romney.
Chinese censorship. They were wrong about that, and Mitt Romney.
And of particular interest, Trump voters. Bret Stephens wrote the article titled I Was Wrong About Trump Voters. Within it, he denounces his own covering of conservative voters from way back in 2015 when Donald Trump announced his run for US president. It begins with, "The worst line I ever wrote as a pundit, yes, I know it's a crowded field, was the first line I ever wrote about the man who would become the 45th president. If by now you don't find Donald Trump appalling, you're appalling." Mr. Stephens writes that he has no regrets in what he wrote about the presidential candidate, but he does regret his broad swipe of his voters. It also probably did more to help than hinder Trump's candidacy. Telling voters they are moral ignoramuses is a bad way of getting them to change their minds. It continues, "When I looked at Trump, I saw a bigoted blowhard making one ignorant argument after another, when Trump supporters saw was a candidate whose entire being was a proudly raised middle finger at a self-satisfied elite that had produced a failing status quo." That was the thing about Donald Trump. He managed to speak to the hearts of Americans who felt neglected by the Democrat Party, who felt like their priorities weren't heard. When the presidential candidate campaigned through small towns in red states, he got their attention. And this is something that Bret Stephens acknowledges. "I was blind to this, though I had spent the years of Barack Obama's presidency denouncing his policies. My objections were more abstract than personal. I belonged to a social class that my friend Peggy Noonan called the protected. My family lived in a safe and pleasant neighbourhood. Our kids went to an excellent public school. I was well paid, fully insured, insulated against life's harsh edges." Trump's appeal, according to Noonan, was largely to people she called the unprotected. Their neighbourhoods weren't so safe and pleasant. Their schools weren't so excellent. Their livelihoods weren't so secure. Their experience of America was often one of a cultural and economic decline, sometimes felt in the most personal of ways. He goes on to acknowledge that...
Okay, I won't give you any more, but if that's not an elitist who's writing the news, trying to tell people how we the people are doing, that's sad. Buy some silver, some platinum. Be kind, helpful, and grateful, unlike the news people. And see where that gets you. As you can see, if you're not kind, helpful, and grateful, in about 6 or 7 years, you're going to have to write a letter of apology for all your antics. You guys have a great night.